Our next guest today on the literary stage it's actually a very well-known guitar player of a very well-known punk rock band. Will you please welcome Peter and Test Tube Babies, Del Greening.
Hello. Nice of you to dress up, Rich.
How you doing, mate? All right.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Yep, thanks very much for coming. Thanks very much for everyone, by the way, who supported the literary stage all this weekend. It's been fantastic. Thanks very much. Del, welcome to Rebellion. Not that you're a stranger to it.
No.
So, one of the first question I do want to ask you, because obviously a couple of weeks' notice, Test Tube's had to pull out, obviously for health reasons with Peter. So I guess the first question before we get into our interview is, how's Pete doing now?
He's insane. And he has monkeypox. Too many bananas up the arse. But I guess he'll recover.
As you can probably see, that this interview's not going to be particularly serious, you know. Okay, so basically, Peter's doing okay. He's had monkeypox and there's a banana up his arse. We're good with that. So anyway, Del, it's great to have you here. So, I've been flicking through the pages of your book that you kindly sent over to me. I suppose, really, I want to start off with just obviously your early years, where you grew up, and basically what your first musical influences were.
Well, I didn't really want to write a book because, well, not an autobiography anyway, because I didn't think anyone would be interested in me, because I'm not even interested in me. So I just wanted to write a load of great rock and roll stories, funny things that happened, you know, over the years on tour. But I sort of had a bit of pressure from the publishers to say, come on, you got to say a little bit about where you're from and how you got into music, like you just asked me. So I started writing that, and then they wanted to know when stuff was recorded, stories from the studio. Then I had to put the dates in and make it chronological, so it all sort of made sense. And then, voila, a memoir. I didn't really want to write a memoir, but there's one there anyway. So, yeah, musical influences, I guess, just well, punk rock, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a time before, kind of like punk and stuff like that. Were you listening to music then?
Well, before punk, I liked metal. Well, heavy metal, but I only liked the short songs, you know, the 2-minute ones. I didn't like, I wasn't a fan of Stair Lift to Bedroom or anything like that. I like the AC/DC and the Thin Lizzy, the short ones, you know. And then when punk came along, you had those short songs, but without the long solos. So that was perfect. And then the first Clash album came out, and the songs were under 2 minutes, even better.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and like you just mentioned, like AC/DC, Tin Lizzy. In a way, especially DC, that was kind of like a purveyor of punk anyway, because it was back to basic, stripped down rock and roll. It was basically, it was like Chuck Berry speeded up to 78 in a way, you know. Well,
I do a radio show. I never play a song over 3 minutes.
I'll tell you what, every DJ should take a leaf out of that book, you know.
I just get bored. I just want to listen to something else.
No, I totally agree with you, mate. So anyway, basically, just coming back then to the subject of Peter, but obviously different from his health and stuff like that. Is that right? I think if I remember flicking through your book, you actually met Peter at school, is that right?
Yeah, we knew each other at school not very well. But then we both got into punk and started going to see punk gigs in Brighton. We lived in Peacehaven, about 5 miles from Brighton, so we used to get the bus and watch punk gigs together. Uh-huh. So that was how we got to know each other.
So when did you and Peter, obviously you were together by this point, you were like going to see bands and stuff. When did you decide to form the band?
Well, I was already in a band with a sort of load of musos from school. And the only reason I was in there is because I was the only one who had a job and bought an amp. And everyone used to plug into it. And eventually it blew up. And I got thrown out of the band. Because I wasn't very good. I only had 2 strings anyway. So me and Peter decided to form a band, and we went to his dad's garage and we wrote Elvis is Dead, 3 chords. And then we went all progressive and wrote The Queen Gives Good Blowjobs, 4 chords. So, and that was it. And we had about 4 or 5 songs, and we did a gig. Because we had to fill up half an hour, we just did them all twice.
Did the audience notice?
I think, yeah, because we were so drunk the second time we did it, it didn't sound like the same song. And then in the audience was a guy called Rick Blair who was doing an album of local bands, and he must have been drunk or he liked what we were doing. And next thing we know, we were in the studio recording our first record.
Was that Voltage 78?
Yeah, 1978. And that went out. Then John Peel heard it and he liked it. We did a session, then we got a record deal. And here I am, 45 years later, stuck with it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, when you think about that, right? I mean, obviously, the track I think on Voltage 78 was Elvis Is Dead.
Yeah.
That
was the second song we ever wrote.
Yeah. That got you into a little bit of trouble with the local Teddy Boys, didn't it?
Yeah.
They didn't like it
Which went on
very
to
much.
make another song, Intensive Care, which is Richard's favourite. Yeah. But we don't play it, so he really gets annoyed. I've just been beaten up by a Ted because of our song Elvis Presley Is Dead. He rearranged my teeth, though he weren't a dentist. I tried to run away, but I was a bit pissed.
So when you did the fucking great lyrics, man, they're brilliant. I think before you recorded the Band from the Pub single, you'd obviously had also 2 tracks on Oi the album, which was, I think Intensive Care was one of them, and Robber Bank. Yeah,
well, Gary Bushell phoned us up and he said, we've got this great new record coming out. It's like a sound sampler. It's going to be called Here Comes the New Punk. And he said, we got Slaughter and the Dogs, the Upstarts, Exploited on it. We said, oh, that sounds quite good. You like all those bands, yeah. So we agreed to do it, and we went up and recorded it. And then when it came out, it was called Oi the Album. We were like, what? we imagined this thing of a skinhead going into a record shop to buy it. Oi. Yes, sir. Oi. Yes. What record would you like? Oi. Yeah, I heard you, yeah, but what record would you like to buy? Oi, the album. Yeah, we have albums. What album do you want? Oi. So we joked about that, yeah.
So
long into the night.
So obviously you got stuck with this, then you got stuck on Oi the album. Now obviously Oi...
You've only read the first few pages of the book, haven't you? I've done a lot more than this, you know.
Hang on, give us a fucking break. We're only fucking 10 minutes in here.
I spoke to you I spoke to you in the hotel bar. You said you hadn't read it all. You said there's 360 bloody pages. I haven't got time.
I had to download this thing on my fucking phone. It was over 2,000 pages by the time I'd done it. So, anyway, yeah, you've done the album thing, and obviously, Oi has had a bad press down the years and anything like that. At that particular time, did you find that Oi was an hindrance, or was it helpful, or what?
Well, we had gigs in London, and then a lot of coach load of boneheads would turn up from somewhere like, I don't know, Great Yarmouth or King's Lynn or something. But as soon as they saw a bunch of drunken socialist buffoons swearing down their microphone, they sort of, they wanted angry, fist-shaking Oi. And instead they just got a bunch of idiots, so they eventually gave up on us and went and followed some poor other cunts.
You left No Future and set up, I believe, was it Acid Trapper Records? Was it Acid Trapper that set that up, or was it a band thing with Trapper's name on it?
No, we had a manager who said he could get us more gigs, so we let him be the manager, and he fell out with No Future and set up his own record label. So we put Trapper, because he was the name of the bass player. And my idea for the label was a picture of a penis with a pair of glasses on it, and it's going to be Trapper, the head of the record company. but again, one of my ideas was thwarted.
So, not really sure how to answer that. So basically, we got through into the late 80s and stuff like that. Things, obviously, the punk thing was, let's face it, was totally washed up. I'm guessing, I know the test tubes continued, but you ended up diversifying, right? And I only found this out the other night, believe it or not. You ended up playing in, of all bands, Flesh for Lulu. How did that come
Yeah, you're
about?
moving along nicely with the book now. Yeah, you've got off the first chapter. Yeah, they supported us. I don't know how they ended up on the bill, They supported us in.
Well, I thought the same about you and the dead Kennedys.
Yeah. In Hamburg, and there was a big riot between punks and skins going on outside, and they were like a Batcave band. They wore makeup, and I went into their dressing room, was chatting to them. They said, "Oh God, there's a big riot going on outside. Are we going to be all right out there?" I said, "Yeah, maybe a little less blusher." And then when I moved to London, they lived in the same street. So they were looking for a new guitarist because Nick, the singer, wanted to move about a bit more on stage. And they wanted a keyboard player as well. And I said, I can play keyboards when I was drunk. So I quickly bought a book on keyboards and went home, learned it, and I was in the band.
I've got to ask, did you put the blusher and the eyeliner on?
See, you haven't read the book, have you?
Will you stop fucking hassling me over reading the book? Have you ever tried reading the book on a phone? If you had
That's my fault.
Hang on, if you'd got your arse into gear and actually get the fucking thing published before Rebellion, I'd have read it.
So, sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, I blame the printers. I blame COVID. So printers is backlogged.
Tour managing, come on.
Yeah, so I got into tour managing. So instead of taking the piss on stage, I just went behind the curtain and took the piss out of the band from there that were playing, not me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, Lily Allen's one of the people you work with. Have you actually worked with any other bands?
Lily Allen, Ian Jury, the Sneaker Pimps, a band called South, OK Go, quite a lot of bands. Yeah, it became quite a job after a while. But
what was Ian Jury like to work with?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I really enjoyed working with Ian. I worked with him sort of up until his death. But it was hard at that time because he kept cancelling all the time because he was like sort of up and down with his illness, his cancer. But yeah, the Blockheads played this weekend. I was going to go and say hello to them, but
yeah, they were brilliant actually. Yeah, we saw them last night. They were fantastic. So
yeah, so I did that, and then COVID came along, and that's the end of the book. Music business.
It's not a great way to end it, so we're not going to end it there because we're going to end up on a positive
I'm writing the
note,
second book now, which starts after COVID.
Yeah.
And it's about the gig scene starting up again.
Right, okay.
And
got
Brexit.
my fucking stage manager's waving his arms around like hysterical owl as well. We've got 5 minutes apparently. That's
Well, we haven't even got on to the third book yet.
Okay.
Order the book.
Before we end it then, and before I get fucking a bottle thrown at me by the stage manager, is obviously the other thing that you're doing and you're now well known for is bringing it right up to the present, is you're doing Rebellion Radio. What's that? How did that come about and what actually does it kind of consist of?
Well, I had my own radio show in Brighton because I was like, when the test tubes are dormant, I have to be doing something creative. So I started doing a radio show. I was a guest on a radio show and I asked if I could have my own show, and I did a pilot and it worked out. And then Jenny from Rebellion came to Brighton, and she was thinking about getting a Rebellion Festival radio station. So I said, well, I could probably set that up. And we went out and had a drunken night out in Brighton and came up with all the ideas, and I've been doing it for 10 years now.
Yep, absolutely.
I start these projects and I end up stuck with them for the rest of my life.
No, I mean, I'll tell you what, right? I also remember as well the fact that you were doing it upstairs in the Winter Gardens one night, and I'd had an absolute nightmare working with a band called Deaf School. I mean, I was seriously in danger of fucking hurting somebody, you know. And this man pulled me into the radio room where he had the station, sat me down, gave me a Coles Red Stripe, and he completely calmed me down, you know. And I'll always be grateful for that, because obviously what you're seeing tonight is not a very serious side of Del, but I'll tell you now, this man is a fucking diamond. Del, it's been a fantastic interview, it really has. And before Paul has a fucking heart attack or whatever trying to get me off stage, will you please give it up, Del Greening.
Thank you very much. And could you order the book from Time and Matter Recordings, Big Cartel? Yeah, thanks for coming and thanks for listening. And yeah, buy all 3 volumes of my book. It's just a scam, really. I haven't really got a book. Just going to South America with the takings. Cheers, bro. Thank you very much.